Jose Mourinho is back. How do I feel about that? Listen, the guy's a winner. All his career he's won. He's been an unbelievable manager. But I must say, when he first came, he was charismatic. He was the man. He was someone you enjoyed watching. I wanted to go and tune in to any press conference, any type of footage there was about him, because he just intrigued me. He was funny. He had everything. And he started winning, and he had the full package. And then when he came to Man United, I was one of the first people saying, listen, great match, winning mentality, has won at every club he's been at, he'll be perfect for us. But it just didn't materialise like that. And sometimes it's just, some things just don't work. So it is what it is, that's what happened. And the disappointing and sad thing about it is the way he went out. I think he ended up being quite miserable and downbeat and negative about a lot of situations, namely players, talking about players in public, which I didn't really agree with and I wouldn't have liked as a player. I was up for always my manager being honest with me and saying to me, listen Rio, you've been rubbish today, or you haven't applied yourself properly here, or whatever it be. If it's negative, that's fine, face to face, but in the public domain, I think it's difficult to maintain a relationship with a player on a positive note when that kind of happens. So I think it was the beginning of the end when he started doing that. I think he's been on a charm offensive since he signed for Spurs. In the press conference, he's saying all the right things. It seemed he'd been briefed. He's talking about the youth system, the academy at Spurs, wanting to integrate that into the first team, give players a chance. He looks happy. He looks very, very charismatic again. But sometimes there's a honeymoon period at a football club, and then when the going gets tough, I think that's when you see the realness of someone. So we'll wait and see. But he seems to have reflected while he's been out of a job, looked at what he may have got wrong, his mistakes, and I think that's good. That's admirable when you look at your mistakes and you openly say, listen, I made mistakes here and there. I'm looking to improve and make them right. And time will tell if he gets that right at Spurs. Pochettino, he done an amazing job at Spurs, to take them where they were to making a Champions League final, finish second in the league. Their expectations of the fans has gone up, even the players too. But then all of a sudden it went a bit stale. I think the recruitment and investment wasn't as forthcoming as maybe it could have been. And I think the squad just needed a general freshening up of new faces and of better quality as well all round. But it never materialised, and I think that's where it come to a head and he was replaced. But yeah, I think he built up enough of good stock that he'll be forever remembered for putting Spurs or being the manager of Spurs in a period where they improved no end and they got a new stadium, and it was the beginning of a new era at the club. They conceded 4 goals in 2 games. That's not very Mourinho-like, but they've scored 7 goals. He's had exciting teams like his first spell at Chelsea was an exciting team. So you know he has been able to play football where they get goals. But I think he's not silly. He's very shrewd, very intelligent man who will know there would have been problems before getting there. And his eyes would have been widened, I think, even more since being there and seeing how certain players react under a bit of pressure in certain situations. And the ones who he feels he can rely on, I think he'll learn that in the coming weeks. But the first 2 games, I think they've been good to him in terms of who the opponents were. West Ham were on a terrible run, went 3-0 up, and they got 2 late goals. But that was a good start for him. And Olympiacos, who lost 6 on the bounce on their travels in the Champions League, hadn't won for 12 in group stages. So they weren't the stiffest of tests, but he came through, and I think there were lots of learnings for him, good and bad. I think Mourinho, when he called out a few pundits, namely probably Scholesy, Gary Neville, myself, I think I just think at the end of the day, we're there to give an honest appraisal of what we see. There's nothing vindictive, nothing personal. And I think if he looks back and reflects, I think he'd see it a lot, especially I speak for myself here, that what I said was honest and to the point. And yeah, if you're in that position that he's in as the manager or player at the club, you might not like sometimes when people say certain things that come across negative. But if you feel that they're coming from if you can see that they're coming from like a non-vindictive way and not personal, then I think you just accept it. That's what I've done as a player. If I felt something was personal, I wouldn't be happy, and I'd probably approach the person. But I can honestly, hand on heart, say there was nothing ever personal about me. I want to see Man United do well. I championed Mourinho going in there and getting a job. It didn't work out. I have to say what I see, and I've got to be honest with that. And I'll be true to myself always in that respect. So it didn't work out. He was negative in the press to players, which I didn't agree with. What am I to do? Sit here and say it's fine just because it's Man United and my old club? I can't do that. I think he's a huge character. There is value with him in being in the Premier League. It's better with him than without, because there's always a bit of drama. There's always a story, good or bad. And so I think that, again, I wish him all the best at Spurs. It's a club that I like what they're doing, this new stadium. The fans have been starved of success. It's up to him to change that.